Good evening, everybody. This is J.M. McGee, author of Little Girl Blues, Existence of an Image, coming to you tonight. I want to take the time to thank everybody for taking a chance to tune in and, continue to follow me and sharing me as we're both journeying along the aspect of being a published author slash poet. So tonight will be video 7, and it deals with imagination and the mental relationship between image and identity. I've touched on these subjects before, or rather concepts, but with these concepts or things from my book, there's so many different avenues that you can use or take to really emphasize the uh the point of what I'm going to be talking about right now. So the first thing I would like to do, what is image, what is identity, and what is imagination? So as I said before, image is basically an ideal of something desired. Basically, it begins mentally, and it also becomes physical because we begin to mold and manifest it into reality. What is identity? Identity deals with self and it deals with existence. Basically, like your name, your personality, your status or class, or anything in that category. Last but not least, what is imagination? So, imagination is a creative thought, fantasy, or basically the visualization. All of all these aspects, as you can kind of tell, they're closely related and similar to each other. Just like with imagination, the root word to imagination is image. An image is tied to identity because the image starts as an ideal, and when you're when you have an ideal, you often relate it to yourself and your existence. So, second point I'm going to talk about is childhood imagination. We've all experienced this phase when we were, little kids. We all either had an imaginary friend or we play pretend where we made inanimate objects such as dolls or action figures. We gave them humanistic characteristics. And I use and my siblings, for example. When me and my sister was younger, we played with dolls, and my favorite was Cabbage Patch Kids, and we played pretend with stuffed animals. And normally, we would also do this thing where we be like, let's play teacher, where we have all the dolls and all the stuffed animals, and together in one, sitting on the couch or something. Then we would kind of give them, like I said, humanistic characteristics where we, give them voices, or we give them assignments to kind of interact and engage with them. Same thing with my brother. When he played with his action figures, he would always play football, and even to this day, it trips me out because it was just fun looking at him. Like, he'll have, the action figures on this side, and the action figure on this side, and then they can't run to each other. So what he would do, he'd just take his arms and just push them together, and then it will always be one to go over the couch, and he'll be like, touchdown. So, like I said, we had very vivid imagination, and like I said, as a child, I started wondering, even right now, like, why does it feel comfortable to play pretend, or why does it come so natural as a child, having vivid imaginations? It's because sure, it's like childhood innocence. It's like a learning stage. As a child, you're taught, manners, say yes ma'am, no ma'am, excuse me, I'm sorry, things of that nature. It's a learning process. You're learning these different aspects, but as children, we're more open to, I won't say learning, but I'll say we're more open to more things at that age and at that stage, because you don't know any better as a child. It's just like when they say don't talk to strangers. You may not ask why, like my sister used to when we was younger, but they just do as they're told. Sometimes they forget and still talk to strangers. That's just how naive you are. We were as children. We really didn't know any better, so therefore we had to be taught. So with childhood imagination, that's where it starts. Like we don't try to do, we don't try to be imaginative. We just do it. We just act on it because that's how it feels. It's natural to just do that. A lot of people will see that at all this cute, or oh, they have a childhood imaginary friend. But for me, it didn't start as I never had a childhood imaginary friend. Like I said, I played with dolls and Cabbage Patch Kids and stuffed animals, and um, I just like I said, took inanimate objects and made them human like. Like I said, even though they couldn't talk back to me, and physically I knew they couldn't, but in my mind they could talk back to me. They could answer my questions. They could laugh with me, or they can agree with me. I'd be like, "Ain't that right?" Stuff like that. So then we go from childhood imagination to point three, which is the progression of imagination into teenage years. So in our teenage years, imagination impacts more of the mental. We no longer act like we did when we were children. Like I said before, children are more open and to express their imagination. And with teens, image becomes more of a crucial element, especially with the physical. What I mean by that, when I was when I was a teenager, I was going through a lot of things. Like, for instance, I was, developing early. Like, I had big boobs, and my hips and thighs, it kind of widened a little bit thanks to my mom's side of the family. I inherited hips and thighs. And most people that thought I looked like I was 18 or a grown woman, I was really 12. So I was going through physical changes, due to genetics. Then, when I was trying to, like I said, fit in at school, people picked at me because I had big boobs and I didn't look like everybody else. And, for a minute, they used to call me, ugh, I hate this word, but this is what I was called for a long time, big titties. So, you know, it was kind of very frustrating to me because I'm like, I don't want to have big boobs. I don't want to be different. I want to be like everybody else. So, you know, my imagination changed from, childlike to actually imagining myself what I look like inside my mind, and how, in the physical, I didn't look that way. And it made me very depressed. It didn't stress me out, but it made me very depressed, and I dealt with depression for years. Even, up to now, I still kind of deal with it, but it's not as, you know in depth like it was growing up. As you know I have kind of evolved from that now. So you have that. And, you know also, as a teenager, we begin to imagine how our life would be different, or how our life would be like everybody else, like the what if, or I wish, theories come into play here. um like I said, usually if we're unhappy with ourselves, we use our imagination to visualize or project ourselves into an unreality of our making. Just like I said, when I was a teenager, I imagined or projected myself into an unreality or the visualization of me, not having big boobs, and I was pretty. People liked me, and guys wanted to, talk to me, not necessarily date, but they wanted to interact with me. And, I got along with the girls. I wasn't seen as, a freak or a weirdo, or like I was saying before about the labeled nickname. I was liked. I was accepted. I didn't look different. But like I said, in reality, it wasn't that way. So sometimes we try to escape our reality by making an unrealistic visualization. That's how we're able, I guess, that's how we're kind of able to cope with what we're dealing with. Like I was saying before, the writing came into play. That's what I was doing, because I'm like, I don't, like I said, I don't understand why I have to look the way I do. Why can't I be like everybody else? Everybody else look normal. Why do I have to look like a freak? And like I said, that's why I said, as you can see from childhood, it being mental to you openly expressing your imagination, it kind of falls now into you're molding your ideal or your ideal image into something physical. And you if you can't do it physically, like I was playing basketball, I was being chased by guys and all that other stuff, but at the same time, I still looked the way I did. So since I couldn't really change it physically, like I said, due to genetics, what I did, it began to kind of become an unreality, a visualization of what I wish I was, anything other than myself. So now that I said that, it also goes to what we're doing. We're also creating and discarding different identities. I hate to use this example, but I'm just being real. Back in high school, you had the popular kids, you had the athletes, you had the pretty girls, the cheerleaders, the smart kids, the brainy ass, the geeks, and then you had the outcasts and the loners, which that's the group that I was in. So um I'll just use another example of me. Also, back in middle school, and that's basically where these changes took place. Me growing, me developing early. I'm actually looking like a grown woman instead of just a regular 12-year-old girl. I was hanging with a group of girls, and we all had our nicknames. You had one girl that was the pretty one, the most desired girl in the group. You had the tough girl, she was tomboy. She had another person that was like really cool with everybody, kind of helped. Then you had the other person that was wishing to be everybody else, and then you had me, where I was the quiet person because I didn't know exactly where I fitted in. I would, unlike me and this other girl, she would always be like, she wished she was like everybody else in the group except me, of course. Everybody else, she deemed worthy of wanting to be like them. And then, like I said, I never really used my voice. I never really said anything, but I always thought, like, why do I have to be different? And, oh girl, she's pretty. She got a shape, pretty hair, long nails. Everybody wants her. And even the tomboy, she was desired by other guys as well. And, everybody else was like cool with the other girl. Like I said, she got along with everybody. She was, the cool hipster. Everybody liked her. She was, fun to be around and all that. But as we was transitioning into high school, I had to kind of break off from them, because it got to the point where, like I said, I was already depressed. I didn't like myself, and it was really difficult trying to find out who I am when I'm either being constantly compared to other girls, or I was always comparing myself to other girls. So when we got to high school, I broke off from that group because I'm like, I just need a separate identity from these girls. And mostly when you get to high school, you the same clique that you were with, you kind of break off because they begin to get with other people that's either just like them, or they attract people that's just like them. And I won't lie, over the years, I severed ties. I don't have anything against them, but I didn't want to regress back into feeling like, you know, I don't know who I am when I'm around these women. Because we're women now. We're not little girls. We're not young ladies. We're women now. So I like I said, that was a bridge that I burned, and no, I don't regret burning it, because sometimes, like I said, you grow apart from people. And I like I said, I never fitted in with them anyway. And even when I was attempting to pick at other people to try to make myself feel good, it didn't feel right. So the best thing I did, like I said, I broke away from that group, and I started trying to find identities. And even with that, creating other identities. My nickname with my family, my personal friends that I do have, and even some childhood friends that I'm kind of still cool with, they know me by that name. But in school I was Jasmine, or big titties and BMW, body made wrong. I was all kind of different names coming up. So um there wasn't a moment where you weren't going to know who I was, because that's how cruel children are. And most of us survive it. Most of us grow past it. And you got some that they can't deal with that type of pressure, because like I said, you're already discovering, or you kind of thrown into this world where you're trying to discover who you are, where you fit in, what your purpose is, and who, just overall, who am I? So like I said, we that was something that I was going through around that time. And I was creating, other than my nickname and my school name slash government name, I was creating different personalities. And I was going through a lot of different phases, where I went from quiet and shy to having quiet anger. I became angsty. Became very angry, like when people picked at me, or um touched me inappropriately, and laughed and thought it was funny. Just things of that nature. That's what I'm saying. I was kind of creating and discarding different identities, because I was trying to find something that fit me. I didn't fit there. I didn't fit there. So I had to find some corner of the earth where Jasmine belonged. Eventually I did, because like I said, I survived high school. And it's kind of funny when you're just a kid. When you get in high school, it's like high school is just the world. But then you graduate, and then you get outside that world, and you're introduced into a bigger world where it's college and just the world in general. So it's a scary it's a it's a scary experience. I won't lie. It's very scary. It was scary for me, because like I said, I didn't look a certain way. I wasn't made up a certain way. And in everybody else's mind, because I didn't fit in or look a certain way, I was a freak, or I was depressing, and all those other things. So I'm just glad that I was God was able to open my eyes to really realize that high school wasn't all that. For me, high school was hell. So I hated high school. I even kind of hated middle school. So transitioning from middle school to high school, that was just actually the rude awakening for me. But like I said, we're able to discard, I guess. Well, no, rephrase what I said. We're so readily and hesitant to make an identity. Why did I put those two things together? Even though I was going through what I was going through, I was ready to be somebody else, but how should I say it? I didn't know what anybody else was, if that makes sense. That's just like if you see a stranger with no face, it'll catch you off guard. Because if somebody turn around, you expecting to see eyes, nose, mouth. But if you turn around and see somebody who doesn't have a face, you don't really know how to really digest that. It's just like bam in your face. So we're so quick to want to be something else, but we don't know what that somebody else is. Hence why we, like I said, we begin to project ourselves onto this stranger with no face, and we just kind of paint it and make it look like what we want it to be. Which brings me to the last point, which is imagination living on well into adulthood. And this is where I'm gonna really talk about it, because this video was inspired by a talk that I had with my mom, and it was something that she did till she got married, and it's something that I'm still doing. So for the first thing, like I said, your imagination, it started off in your childhood, and like I said, it was more mental then than physical. Then you go into the teenage years where it's the physical begins to affect the mental, because like I said, I'm using me now. Other people may have experienced the same thing or may have went through something similar. Because I didn't look a certain way physically, I began, like I said, to create an unreality of what I would like to be, how I would like, what I would like to look like. Or should I even change my name? I wasn't Jasmine. I won't even say who I was, but I came up with a different name. I wasn't Jasmine, because then it got to the point everybody's name is Jasmine. I was named after my cousin, but her first name wasn't Jasmine. That was her middle name. So my mom came up with my name from her. And at that time I was the only Jasmine, but I don't know what happened. Every time I turn around, everybody's name is Jasmine, or I've dated a Jasmine. And it made me so sick. I'm like, man, I wish I could change my name. I used to love my name. Now I hate it. Everybody's name is this name now. So I didn't go by Jasmine no more. I picked another name for myself, because it wasn't, I only know 2 people by this name. So I was like, well, you know what? I like that name. I'm not Jasmine in that unreality. I'm somebody else. So then we go into the adulthood where your imagination is still mental, but it's really not just physical visualization. What I mean is, we get more caught up chasing fantasies. And like I said, wishing our lives to be like somebody else. Like, we don't physically act on it like we did in the other 2 stages, where you openly did it in childhood and you mentally did it because the physical influenced the mental to create the unreality. Now we're at the part where we're still mentally we're still creating the visualization, but it's actually due to us not really being happy with ourselves. Whatever your situation, whatever you're going through, have gone through, is going through, that's what it's talking about. How now, where it was easier for us in our teens to create different personas and discard the identities. Now in our adulthood, we have lost sight of who we are, if we've ever found out who we are to begin with. What do I mean by that? It was a show. X-Men Evolution. Most of you may not know, but I love cartoons. I love superheroes still. But in X-Men Evolution, Rogue had the ability to steal people's powers, and also, if she held on too long, she could kill them. So they had an episode where Rogue was no longer able to control her power. She began to morph into all these other identities that she absorbed into herself. It wasn't her fault. It's just something that happened, and she was learning her power. So it got to the point where if the X-Men didn't save her and try to get all of those different personalities out of her, she could lose herself, or they could lose her forever. So that's what it's like in the adult stage. We spent our whole life, wishing to be something else, wishing to be anybody else but ourselves. And sometimes we just go through the emotions just to, say, okay, well, I'm just gonna just go through it. But then, one day, like I said, we've created all these different things about us. Some of them are not even true. I guess I could use an example when you're trying to date somebody. I remember I can't remember this guy's name, and I don't even want to say his name, but he was just telling me how, people have always did him wrong. He was just misunderstood, and he was this and he was that. And, I felt for him, and I was like, I feel the same way. Like, people don't understand me. People don't accept me, and I don't know why that is. But we started talking. And when we did actually got to dates and stuff, I started seeing a different side of him that he didn't, tell me about. Like, he was very angry, very, very angry, very aggressive, very hostile. Like, if you didn't do what he said do, he would want to get rough with you. So you know what I'm saying? Like, we're so quick to project that unreality, because if we don't do that, if I show this person who I really am, they may not like me. So I'd rather just paint this pretty picture. I'm this type of person. I'm this type of person. But that's what I'm saying. You're not able to discard that projection because you have been holding on to it for years. This is what has been getting you by. So you're not able to just simply discard it, because that's your lifeline. That's your life jacket. If you throw that away, how will you swim? How will you survive? So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, imagination still lives on into adulthood. Most folks won't admit that, and it's kind of like a subconscious thing. Like me, like I said, I still do the same thing. I'm still not really happy with myself. I'm not happy with where I'm at in my life. So sometimes if I'm very unhappy, like I may be sitting here kind of watching TV, and then I just kind of project myself into that unreality where I'm still the person that I created. I'm pretty. I have friends, I go out, I have a little fun, like, go ice skate, stuff of that nature. And I'm happy. I have my own house. I'm in my career. I have my chow black puppy, and my house has a swing, and I like being outside, and I'm peaceful. But like I said, when I come back to reality, I don't have that. So the question comes down to this: did we really leave childlike fantasies behind us? I can't answer that question for you guys, but I can say for me, no. My imagination changed over the years because of things that I was going through, as a person in dire need of trying to finding out who I am. So only you guys can answer that question. But if I could answer that question, no, we don't leave childlike fantasies behind. I'm not the Cinderella wedding type of woman, but you do have people when they get ready to get married, they want the Cinderella dress, they want the Cinderella. I'm sorry, Cinderella. That's what the mouse calls Cinderella in the movie, but the Cinderella happy ending fairy tale type of thing. And that goes back to what I just said. You may want that, but in reality, we may not get that. And sometimes it's so easy to grasp everything else than reality. It's easier to imagine ourselves being somewhere else. It's easier for us to be anybody else but ourselves. That's why we get lost in ourselves, because like I said, we never took the time to find ourselves, or maybe we weren't never allowed to pursue self. Like me, I always put myself on the back burner. I did what everybody else wanted me to do. I never questioned it because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. And then, just a few years ago, I learned that I was brainwashed. So now, that I'm about to be 30, I have to play catch up because, I didn't get to live my life like a child. I kind of had to grow up fast. Like I said, I raised my brother and my sister. I looked after my dad and my mom. She was going to work 3 to 4 different jobs plus going to school trying to become an LPN nurse. So I didn't really get to experience childhood. And then, like I said, when I was becoming a teen, I was looked at as a full-grown woman instead of a 12-year-old because, like I said, I was developing early, and then I went through so much depression and unhappiness that by the time I became an adult, I was just going through I just kind of went through the emotions. I just like, this, I'm always going to be this person. I'm never going to be different. I'm never going to be a lot of things. So that's why imagination is a very powerful thing. It's subtle and it's small, and it's something most people don't really think about. Like I said, most people kind of relate imagination to childhood imagination, but what you don't like I said what you don't realize, imagination still stays with you even up until you become an adult, because you're still doing certain things. Like I said, only thing between you being an adult, you're going through different personas, but you still can't discard your mask because you've taken the time to create these masks that some part of you is left in those masks. As a teen, you didn't know who you are. You didn't know who you were. So you just kind of created and created, discard. But when you became an adult, you took the time and effort to actually mold this mask, so you can't really get rid of it because there's a part of you, maybe a part of you that you didn't even know was in you resides within that mask. So instead of discarding it, it just gets thrown into a pile of the rest of the other masks that you've taken the time to create. So that, my friends, is the relationship between image and identity, related all the way to mental impact of imagination, and how it still lives with us from childhood to teenage years, even into our adulthood years. Just a few updates. So I will not be doing weekly chats after this one. I'm going to change it up. I bought 5 books that I'll be reading. The first one is called Goliath Must Fall. So I'll be doing that. I'll also be doing videos where I provide feedback, doing video book reviews, and I'll also do written book reviews on the books as well. And then after that, I plan on purchasing other writers, authors, poets works, so I can do the same thing for them, because I've been asking for support, and I've been getting it back tenfold, and we're so used to asking that we don't give. We get, but we don't give. So I want to give back, and that's what I plan on doing. I'll also be working on getting my book to become an audio book as well. So those are just a few changes and updates that I want to give you guys. And again, I want to thank you for taking the time to tune in to my YouTube channel, Little Girl Blues Heart to Heart. Make sure you subscribe, like, review the book, review, comment on the videos. I really appreciate it. Let's continue to keep each other uplifted in prayer like God wants us to. Continue if you need to connect with me. The information will be on the end of the last slide of this video. I'll keep you guys updated. I'll see you for video 8 on my first book review of Goliath Must Fall. Peace.